Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Anime Octopus. Today, our fanfiction topic is, what if Naruko were a young prodigy? Disclaimer, the content on this channel is intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in these videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's begin. I want to attend the academy. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, looked up from his desk in surprise at the young girl standing before him. It was difficult to tell at first glance if the child was a girl or a boy. At only 4 years old, she was small and frail from years of neglect. Her hair, short and barely touching her shoulders, was messy and spiky, as though she hadn't bothered to tame it. She bore a striking resemblance to her mother, though her short hair made her look more like her father, especially when it caught the light and highlighted a red hue reminiscent of a sunset. Naruto had inherited this unique hair color from her mother, along with a nearly tomato-shaped chubby face. However, like her mother, she had a fiery temper, although she had better control over it. The girl was an enigma, even to Hiruzen. She was unusually intelligent for a 4-year-old and rarely cried anymore, despite the village's harsh treatment and his efforts to honor Minato's dying wish for his daughter to be seen as a hero. Sadly, very few honored Minato's request, and Hiruzen regretted making it publicly known that the girl was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Many villagers saw only the Kyuubi no Yoko. It hadn't taken him long to realize she was a prodigy, a rare talent that appeared only once in a generation. As the last of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans, she came from two families once highly valued for their unique techniques. While little was known about the Namikaze clan, it was believed they originated from the Wind Country before the last members fled to Konoha 2 generations before Minato's birth. The girl's request had shocked him. Standing there in an orange shirt bearing the Uzumaki clan spiral, a symbol still used on the flak jackets of Chunin and Jonin to signify the bond between Konohagakure and Uzushio-gakure, she also wore dark gray long shorts that obscured her gender. She clutched a stuffed, rusty orange plush fox, which made her seem so innocent. Yet, her eyes held determination, knowledge, mischief, and loneliness. Despite her smiles and laughter, a deeper look revealed a profound loneliness and darkness threatening her sanity. Hiruzen tried to help her as much as possible, considering her like a granddaughter. If he weren't so old and preoccupied with his daughter-in-law's pregnancy, he would have taken Naruto in himself. Unfortunately, his duties as Hokage consumed most of his time, and his eldest son's recent death, leaving behind a wife and unborn child, made this an especially difficult period. The academy? Don't you think you should wait a year or two? You're only 4, Naru, he said. Her blue eyes did not waver as she shook her head. I want to leave now. I need to show everyone I'm more than just a nuisance. I'll prove I can become Hokage someday, and I won't crumble under their harsh looks, she declared with determination in her voice. The conviction in her tone was unusual for a 4-year-old, but it was a result of her harsh upbringing. She had been forced to mature quickly or risk being beaten down so severely that she might never rise again. His eyes softened slightly as she continued. I don't understand why everyone despises me, Grandpa, but I won't just accept it anymore. If I prove myself as a ninja, they'll have to acknowledge me eventually. I won't let anyone push me around anymore. I may be young, but I can handle this. Please, Grandpa. By the end, her voice was loud and almost pleading. With a sigh, Sarutobi glanced at the portraits of the previous Hokages, particularly that of Minato Namikaze, the girl's father, and nodded. I hope you would agree with my decision, Minato. She's so young, but she's never truly had a childhood. If this is her wish, then I will support her, he thought, then turned back to the patiently waiting blonde. Are you certain this is what you want, Naruto? He asked. Once you start, there's no turning back. If you pass the next exam, you'll become a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, considered an adult, no matter how young you are. He noticed a fleeting look of hesitation in her eyes, but it vanished almost immediately. I'm sure, she said. I want to become a strong kunoichi and prove my worth to everyone. I'm not a demon. She said the last part so softly he almost missed it. He sighed internally and pulled out a form. I'll inform them, and starting Monday, you'll begin at the academy. I'll also retrieve some of your parents' old materials from storage. They wanted you to have them once you started at the academy. This may not be the age they expected, but I believe you'll benefit from them. They are your birthright, after all. Naruto's eyes sparkled with excitement, and she grinned. In that moment, she looked so much like her father that it was hard to believe this girl and the solemn one from before were the same person. Bowing slightly, she thanked him and ran out of the office, probably to make preparations at the apartment he had arranged for her 6 months earlier. I hope you're watching over her, Minato, Kushina. You'd be proud of her, I'm sure, he muttered as he returned to the form enrolling Uzumaki Naruto into the academy. Naruto nearly wept at the sight of the scrolls and the medium-sized treasure chest-like box with a paper seal on the front. The old man had mentioned that it functioned similarly to the storage scrolls, all of which only opened to Uzumaki or Namikaze blood, her parents' clan names. Apparently, the seals were Uzumaki designs, and not just any Uzumaki could open them, only someone from the main family or the head of the clan's family. It was a seal her mother had taught her father. The Hokage only knew that the seal could differentiate through chakra, but it was a clan secret, and her mother had only taught her father when they became engaged. She still wasn't sure who exactly they were, but Gigi had promised to tell her when she was older. She assumed her parents had left some sort of instructions with the old man before passing in the Kyuubi attack. She saw more than many expected and was far from unintelligent, but she wasn't perfect. She couldn't see everything. Seeing what Fuinjutsu could do for storing and keeping secrets safe, she was eager to delve further into it. Perhaps it could help her safeguard her apartment. The apartment itself was an old building that had been abandoned when the owner upgraded. The Hokage had bought the land and building before giving it to Naruto. So all 3 floors were hers to do as she pleased. She had chosen the apartment that was largest and safest for her. Being on the top floor made it a little harder for upset villagers to get in without her realizing it. With seals, she could protect it even more, but that would have to wait. She knew enough common sense to understand that diving headfirst into something as precise and dangerous as Fuinjutsu could potentially blow up in her face and kill her. It was a tricky art, and it was probably one reason there were not many Fuinjutsu masters in the village's history or present. Once she regained control of her emotions, she first explored the trunk, unsealing it with a bloody thumb. Once open, she saw it was rather spacious and housed many clothing storage scrolls with tags detailing sizes and ages worn. This would be useful for her. If these were her mother's old clothes, then she could use them herself with some modifications. It wasn't exactly easy for her to get clothes, as most shops would stone her if she came too close. Some were books and a couple of pictures of who she was sure were her parents when they were younger, probably around 11 or 12. Her Gigi hadn't been kidding when he said she looked like the perfect blend of both. If she grew her hair long, it would probably make her look even more like her mother. She already had the same facial shape, even if she had a slightly sharper jawline and chin, and eye shape of her mother. Her father, she was positive this was her father, as his hair was only a shade different from her own blonde locks, and his skin was the same tan peach tone as hers. Even his eyes were the same shade of cerulean blue. He looked more than a little familiar, but she couldn't place where. None of it had their first names, though, just their last names. She was disappointed about that but shrugged. At least she knew what they looked like. This is wonderful, Naruto said, grinning once more. She couldn't remember the last time she had smiled so genuinely. Gathering the storage scrolls containing family jutsu and clan information, she approached a bookshelf that had been in her room since she moved in, one of the remnants from when the building housed other people. She carefully arranged the scrolls on the shelves in a memorable order. Next, she placed the books, which were sealed and would only open to an Uzumaki's blood and chakra signature, on another shelf. It struck her how cautious the Uzumaki clan must have been. Taking the clothes from the storage scrolls and chest, she organized them in the closet, planning to sort through them more thoroughly in the morning. She was pleased to find that most of the attire was suitable for a ninja, which made sense since her mother had been a kunoichi before her death. With that task completed, Naruto walked over to the now-filled bookshelf and pulled out a worn book on Fuinjutsu. It was an introductory text, covering mostly history, written by an Uzumaki. It was one of the first books all Uzumaki read to begin understanding the art for which Uzushiogakure was so renowned. She climbed onto the lumpy yet still more comfortable than alleyways and concrete bed, opened the book, and began to read. If she wanted to make her home more secure against the villagers and random shinobi who saw her as a demon without reason, she needed to start learning now. Naruto couldn't help but question her decision once again. Embarking on her journey at the academy seemed wise initially, yet as she faced the class of youngsters aged between 7 and 8, doubts crept in. She presented herself in attire tailored for her future role, a practical mesh shirt and shorts bodysuit with elbow-length sleeves, layered under a vibrant orange-red sleeveless kimono. The mesh armor shirt sleeves remained concealed beneath a loosely worn black and orange jacket, revealing her kimono top. A dark blue obi encircled her waist, complementing her standard black shinobi sandals. Except for the jacket, all garments were repurposed from her late mother's wardrobe, altered skillfully with her needlework expertise acquired over the years. The coat had once belonged to her father, explaining why it hung a bit loose on her frame. Similar to the kimono top she wore beneath, she had taken the effort to dye it black, with vibrant orange strips running along the sleeves. She had also transformed the obi from green to a deep blue hue, and the kimono itself from yellow to orange, albeit with a slight mistake, resulting in a more vivid orange-red shade than intended. She never boasted about her prowess in household tasks like sewing. Taking care, she had sewn her clan's emblem onto both the back of the kimono and the jacket in crisp white thread. With her hair just brushing her shoulders, the emblem was clearly visible for now. If she allowed her hair to grow out, she would need to adjust its placement to ensure visibility. People often gave her curious glances, likely due to her young age. At only 4 years old, she was perhaps one of the youngest ever to join the academy. The other students were 3 to 4 years older, which drew attention. However, she paid little mind to their stares. Her 5th birthday was approaching in October, and historically, it wasn't unheard of for 5-year-olds to enroll, especially those deemed prodigies, a term she had overheard, possibly mentioned by Gigi concerning her during her enrollment. Fortunately, the sensei didn't seem overly bothered by her presence. While not particularly warm, he didn't shoot her disdainful looks or curse her existence either. "Class, we have a new addition today," Hiroshi announced, drawing attention. The man appeared seasoned, likely a retired ninja if she had to guess. Somewhere in his mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, though appearances could be deceptive in the world of ninja. His black hair showed hints of gray, cut short, and his tan skin bore faint scars, except for one more prominent mark on his chin, hinting at past battles. He wore a dark blue long-sleeved shirt and matching pants, with bandages wrapped around his arms and legs, secured with ninja sandals on his feet. A shinobi headband adorned his upper right shoulder, and a standard jonin vest completed his attire. She wondered if he volunteered for the teaching role post-retirement or if the Hokage had appointed him. "Eh? But she's like 3, sensei!" exclaimed one student, eliciting snickers from others. Naruto felt a surge of annoyance at the remarks. She might be small for her age, but she wasn't that tiny. "I'm 4, Databane," Naruto retorted, glaring at the now silenced group. Hiroshi's smirk revealed his amusement at the situation, noting how the girl's outburst had quieted the previously chattering crowd. He recalled another spirited girl with a similar verbal tic for Databane, realizing the striking resemblance she shared with the blonde Uzumaki. Being a seasoned ninja, Hiroshi had witnessed the fall of Uzushiogakure and remembered Uzumaki Kushina's arrival before the village's demise. The resemblance between mother and daughter was unmistakable, something that could only pass through generations. This realization led Hiroshi to see the young Uzumaki for who she was, not just what was sealed within her. There was no way this girl was the Kyuubi reborn, hence, he had no qualms about her inclusion in his class, a decision he had made without hesitation, aligning with the Hokage's judgment. He was a man that did not play favorites after all, and Jinchuriki or not, the girl would be treated like any other student, by him at least. Right, He began. She may be younger but she's here. This is Uzumaki Naruto. She'll be here until she passes the exam, same as all of you. The absence of sound didn't appear to surprise either Naruto or the girl beside him, yet they acknowledged it without any apparent unease. Naruto, please take a seat next to. His gaze roved around the classroom until it settled on a boy who wore a sullen expression, exuding boredom. With a hint of amusement in his voice, he continued, Koji. Uchiha Koji, kindly raise your hand so that Uzumaki can find a place. The boy jolted slightly in his chair, eyes widening as he turned towards Hiroshi-sensei. The teacher wore a smirk, indicating that Koji had been caught. Letting out a resigned sigh, Koji glanced at the girl seated next to the sensei. Her short, tousled blonde hair, tame to some extent, gave her face a rounder appearance. He pondered that her hair might look neater and more natural if it were longer. The shade of blonde, a unique sunny hue with reddish undertones in certain light, along with her lightly tanned skin and bright cerulean eyes, formed an intriguing combination. The most distinctive feature, though, was the whisker marks on each of her cheeks. Gradually, he raised his hand. Even before Koji's hand went up, Naruto had taken notice of him. Hiroshi-sensei had introduced him as Uchiha Koji. She knew enough about the Uchiha clan's prestige in Konoha, akin to what Uzumaki represented in Uzushiogakure before its destruction. Koji sported chin-length hair, slightly disheveled yet neatly settled. Its dark hue, almost black with hints of deep blue, set him apart from typical Uchihas. Naruto had seen others of the clan in the village, but Koji's hair seemed darker, and his eyes, though not black, bordered on a deep gray that could be mistaken for black in certain lighting. He wore a high-collared black shirt, likely bearing the Uchiha symbol on the back, along with tan cargo shorts and black shinobi sandals. Bandages wrapped around his forehead in a manner resembling a Hittite, suggesting he hadn't received one yet. Here, he muttered disinterestedly, prompting Naruto to suppress a flicker of annoyance before taking the empty seat to his right. Now that seating is settled, let's review the basics today to refresh everyone's knowledge and delve into. Hiroshi-sensei's voice resumed the lesson, capturing Naruto's attention mostly, yet she couldn't shake off her curiosity about the boy beside her. He didn't fit the typical Uchiha mold, he seemed more akin to a Nara, she mused. Shrugging inwardly, Naruto focused on her goal. She was here to learn the ways of a shinobi, determined to prove her worth to Konoha despite the daily challenges she faced from many in the village. Today marked the beginning of her journey, and she was certain it held significance beyond measure. As time went by, Naruto came to realize the immense effort required to succeed in the exams by year's end. She understood that passing the upcoming August exam was out of reach, but with dedicated training and study, the one in the following July would be more manageable. She found solace in her training regimen, it was not just a necessity but also something she genuinely enjoyed. Fortunately, she had access to family techniques and the ancestral knowledge passed down by her parents. While these resources mainly consisted of clan techniques, the Uzumaki arts were predominantly rooted in Fuinjutsu, Kenjutsu, and Taijutsu. Her exposure to a few ninjutsu techniques, particularly those related to wind, water, and lightning affinities, had expanded over the past 3 months. It appeared that these elements were prevalent in Uzushiogakure, although there were few ninjutsu specialists among the Uzumaki, despite their significant chakra reserves. Genjutsu expertise was even scarcer among the Uzumaki due to their unique chakra properties. Naruto discovered that her mother's chakra chains, while rare and unique to Kushina Uzumaki, were not exclusive to her alone. These manifestations, although sporadic, were primarily found in female Uzumaki, leading to the conclusion that they were an inherent aspect of Uzumaki chakra rather than a distinct bloodline trait. The hallmark of the Uzumaki lineage was their vast chakra reserves, coupled with rapid regeneration and exceptional stamina. These attributes, coupled with their renowned longevity and youthful appearance, set the Uzumaki apart as a formidable clan in the shinobi world. From her mother's scrolls and books she found the oldest known Uzumaki had been nearly 500 years old by the time Uzushiogakure had been destroyed, but had looked no older than someone in their 90s to mid-hundreds. Though this was just what was recorded, No one was actually sure how long the longevity could last for, since many were killed by unnatural causes, being a ninja clan. Some did die of old age, usually between the ages of 90 and 200 years old. Naru inherited very little from the Namikaze lineage. Her father had been an orphan from a young age, with fleeting memories of his parents, who hailed from a larger ninja clan in the Wind Country that had perished during past conflicts. While many assumed they were from or near Sunagakur, the truth revealed that the Namikaze were wanderers long before the Warring Clan era. Originally a clan of merchants, with a few trained assassins among them, the Namikaze eventually evolved into a ninja clan specializing in assassination, albeit retaining some members in trade. Their numbers dwindled due to the turbulent eras and wars, as Naru's father painstakingly pieced together over years of searching. The jutsu inherited from her father were mostly his creations and some passed down from his ancestors, primarily focused on wind and lightning affinities prevalent in the Namikaze lineage. Luckily, among her father's belongings were scrolls on taijutsu and genjutsu, salvaged remnants from his parents who perished when he was just 4. These revelations stemmed from her father's documented history, a practice her mother also undertook. Naru wondered if this meticulous record-keeping was meant for future generations like herself, hinting at a tragic awareness that they might not be around to raise her. Yet, she dismissed such thoughts as futile. Her parents couldn't have foreseen their untimely demise. Her mother's scrolls encompassed taijutsu and kenjutsu techniques, a valuable resource considering Naru's struggles in those areas. While she managed academy-taught jutsu well, creating a bunshin or excelling in taijutsu eluded her grasp, especially against skilled clan members like the Uchiha or Hyuga. Being outperformed by clan peers like Inuzuka Kasumi and her brother in taijutsu served as a wake-up call. The basic academy training wasn't sufficient against specialized clan techniques. She recognized the importance of diversifying her skills beyond the standard curriculum. Grateful for the scrolls gifted by Gigi at the start of her academy journey, Naru knew they were her lifeline. The taijutsu scrolls promised refinement in her style and insight into clan techniques, while the kenjutsu scrolls offered proficiency in weaponry, a vital component of ninja prowess. Exhausted from her training, Naru collapsed onto the ground of her makeshift training area, surrounded by scrolls, including the open one detailing the Uzumaki clan's fighting style, Uzuken, the Vortex Fist. The technique was crafted with the Uzumaki endurance, swiftness, and raw power in mind. It demanded precision strikes, emphasizing pressure points. However, it wasn't solely reliant on these aspects. The key ingredients were speed and agility, qualities she possessed abundantly. As she delved deeper into its intricacies, it became apparent that mastering this style required a lightning affinity. Nevertheless, one didn't have to fuse their affinity with the Uzuken to grasp its essence. Despite lightning not being her primary element, she could still hone her skills effectively. Her ambition, however, extended beyond mere mastery. She envisioned creating a fusion style, blending Uzuken with Kaziken, Wind Fist of the Namikaze clan, along with techniques from the ninja library. This hybrid would synergize her agility, endurance, and family legacies. Eventually, she aimed to integrate kenjutsu seamlessly, amplifying the style's lethality. She harbored a sense of entitlement to her own identity, a determination to honor her lineage. "Hey, you're that Uzumaki girl," a vaguely familiar voice echoed from behind her. Naruto's eyes widened slightly, instantly on guard as she rose to her feet, clutching her scroll protectively. She knew the value of these artifacts, her last connections to her parents. Glancing at the figure, a hint of a glare crept into her expression. Before her stood the Uchiha boy from her class, his demeanor a mix of boredom and curiosity. Naruto's irritation surfaced. "And you're the Uchiha boy, so what?" she retorted, her tone tinged with impatience. The boy, named Koji, attempted a casual introduction, eager to avoid being labeled as the Uchiha boy again. "I'm Koji," he stated, hoping for a more dignified acknowledgement. "Naruto," she replied curtly, her guard still up. He smirked, teasing her about her name. "Naruto? What kind of name is that for a girl? Fishcake, right?" His amusement grew as her cheeks flushed, the scroll pressed tighter against her. "It's a meaningful name," signifying a maelstrom, not fishcake. She countered, eyes narrowed in defiance. And what about Koji? That's hardly conventional either. Besides, who says Naruto can't be a girl's name? His smirk widened, sensing her fiery spirit. Fine, fine. I just assumed your name would match you more. I guess maelstrom does make more sense. Though fishcake also makes some sense being a food like tomatoes are. You're sort of like a yellow tomato, he mused. He swiftly realized his error, stepping back with his hands raised as he caught sight of the blonde. Her face flushed even deeper, resembling a ripe tomato, and her hair bristled, reminiscent of nine tails. The effect would have been more striking if her hair had grown past shoulder blade length. It had notably lengthened over the past few months. Do not call me tomato, Ateban. She nearly shrieked, dropping the scroll at her feet as she advanced towards him, fist raised with unexpected speed. His eyes widened as he dodged at the last moment, but he hadn't anticipated her left leg aiming for his knees instead of his gut. This unexpected move left him with bruised knees, flipping midair, and landing hard on his back, facing the visibly calmer girl. The sequence of events happened so rapidly that he couldn't fully comprehend. With sharp blue eyes glaring down at him, he managed a slow smile followed by laughter, which caught her off guard. What's so funny, Databane? She demanded, her voice rising slightly. Extending his arm towards her, he chuckled. You're quite the character, Uzumaki Naruto. Let's be comrades, he suggested, prompting Naruto's wide-eyed surprise. Comrades? She echoed softly, disbelief coloring her expression. You want to be my comrade? As Koji sat up, he noted their age difference, with Naruto being a few years younger than him, around 4 or 5 while he had just turned 7. Why not? Surely you have other comrades. Siblings, perhaps, or your parents? He inquired. Naruto's frown deepened, sadness tinged with resignation in her eyes, yet a glimmer of hope shone through. No. I've never had comrades, she revealed, surprising him. What about your family? He pressed. I don't have one, she admitted, her gaze averted. I'm an orphan. I know their last names, but that's all. I live alone. Sympathy washed over Koji. I had no idea, he apologized, then offered his hand again. But I'll be your comrade. Your best comrade. Naruto's eyes widened, a spark of joy flickering within. Best comrade? Yes, we'll be best comrades. And you can have more than one. Perhaps even family if you wish. I've always wanted a younger sibling to tease, he joked, a smirk playing on his lips. Her response was a curious look before a wide smile spread across her face, accentuating the whisker marks and brightening her eyes. Comrades, family. That sounds nice, she admitted. And what about you? Do you have any siblings? Koji chuckled. Certainly. I have an elder brother, Shisui, he revealed. He's already a ninja and quite busy. You'll meet him someday. He's more laid back compared to others in our clan. Naruto nodded in understanding. What were you doing out here anyway? She asked, eyeing the scroll he had picked up. Glancing at the scroll bearing the word Uzu. Before it was swiftly reclaimed by Naruto, he realized it must hold significance. Don't worry, I won't pry, he reassured her, recognizing the scroll's importance. Nodding in gratitude, Naruto gathered her belongings, explaining, it's one of the few things I have from my parents, a taijutsu scroll from my mother's clan. Understanding her sentiment, Koji nodded in understanding, ready to embark on this newfound camaraderie and friendship. Understood, I empathize with your situation. The Uzumaki lineage isn't widely recognized. His voice trailed off, hands clasped behind his head as he gazed upwards at the sky. Naruto flinched slightly and let out a sigh as they made their way back to the village center. You probably wouldn't have heard of them, she explained. The Uzumaki clan has faded away, except for me as far as I know. My mother was the last surviving member. She arrived here shortly before Uzushio fell during the end of the Second Shinobi War, just before the Third Shinobi War commenced. Koji looked at his new acquaintance with a mix of surprise and sympathy. "You carry your mother's name then?" he inquired. Naruto nodded. "Yes, I believe it was for my protection. The Uzumaki clan is almost forgotten now that Uzushio is gone. I know my father belonged to the Namikaze clan, also on the brink of extinction, but beyond that, I don't have much information." Koji blinked, his mind racing as he pieced together the puzzle. Namikaze. Namikaze. The name struck a chord of familiarity. His eyes widened as realization dawned upon him, and he gazed at Naruto as if seeing her for the first time. Her blonde hair, a slightly angled jawline that would become more defined once the baby fat vanished, and piercing blue eyes. She resembled him from the side, prompting a revelation that left him stunned. There was only one Namikaze he knew of, a name his father often mentioned, an esteemed war hero who sacrificed his life years ago defending the village from the Kyuubi. Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage, was Naruto's father. Kate Koji. Naruto's voice snapped him out of his reverie, and he shook his head, trying to compose himself. "Yeah, Naruto?" he responded, his mind still processing the newfound knowledge. "Are you okay? You've been staring at me strangely for a while," she remarked, her gaze narrowing slightly. He smiled gently and nodded. "I'm fine. Just lost in thought for a moment." He decided not to disclose his realization to her. It seemed more appropriate for Naruto to discover this truth on her own, and perhaps it was safer that way. She was correct in assuming that the secrecy was for her safety. As far as he understood, numerous individuals harbored resentment towards the fourth Hokage due to his actions during the war. His decisions had earned him many foes, and these adversaries wouldn't hesitate to seek vengeance by targeting the fourth Hokage's lineage. It was prudent to allow her to discover the truth independently. Considering her exceptional talent, it was inevitable that she would uncover it sooner or later, especially given that it would likely surface during their classes. After all, there was only one living Namikaze who could have been her father. Ugh, why did I ever agree to this? Naruto's frustration echoed through the room, her fingers clenching her hair in a moment of exasperation. Days blurred together in a predictable cycle for the young Jinchuriki. The village remained unchanged, with stares ranging from disgust to fear, anger, and hostility directed at her by most of the villagers, as it had always been. Yet, this was no surprise. What did catch her off guard was the intensifying glares she received, especially since she began her kunoichi training. It was as though her pursuit of becoming a skilled ninja unsettled some, hinting that they didn't want her to grow too powerful. However, she failed to see how she posed a threat initially. Nonetheless, she remained optimistic that once she became a Genin, a true leaf ninja, they would gradually accept her, even if it took a lifetime. On a brighter note, her friendship with Koji, her first true friend, became more pronounced. Initially met with disbelief, even by the laziest yet dedicated academy student, Koji, their companionship raised eyebrows across the village. The Uchiha clan, in particular, seemed displeased with their bond, although they eventually acclimated to it, allowing her to navigate the Uchiha district without feeling like an outsider. Though her vibrant hair contrasted starkly with the dark tones of the Uchiha clan, earning her more than a few curious glances, Koji's brother Shisui proved to be surprisingly open-minded. He quickly accepted their friendship and even trained with them occasionally. During one of her visits to the Uchiha district, a tardy dash to meet Koji and Shisui led to a literal collision with the clan heirs. Despite her initial fears, they were not as harsh as she anticipated, particularly the older one who seemed closer to Shisui's age. He appeared to be around 11, give or take a year. Dressed in the standard wide-collared Uchiha shirt in black, along with black shorts and shinobi sandals, he sported a Hitai-8 on his forehead and had long black hair typical of the Uchiha clan. What distinguished him were the tear troughs on either side of his face, unusually long, adding a touch of maturity to his youthful appearance. The younger one bore a striking resemblance to the older, albeit with shorter hair styled in a way that resembled a duck's backside. His face was framed by longer bangs, reaching just above his cheekbones, and both boys had deep onyx-colored eyes. "Apologies for intruding," Naruto began, only to be interrupted by the younger boy with a hint of irritation in his stance. "Who are you, and what brings you here?" "You're not from the Uchiha clan?" he questioned, his glare indicating a failed attempt at being stern, though annoyance was evident. Naruto squinted slightly. "I'm Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto," she responded. "I'm here to train with my friend, Koji, and his brother Shisui," the older boy finished her sentence, catching her attention. Naruto glanced at the older boy just as Duck Butt, her temporary nickname for the younger one, spoke up. "Shisui-san?" he inquired. The elder Uchiha looked down at his brother, a faint smile touching his lips, yet maintaining the typical aloofness of an Uchiha, reminiscent of Koji, who could pull off the same demeanor when needed. "I've heard of you, Naruto-chan," he acknowledged. "You're in the same academy class as Koji. Shisui often speaks highly of both you and Koji-kun." Duck Butt's eyes widened, turning to Naruto in surprise. "She's already in the academy, Aniki?" She's considered a prodigy in your generation, if not the entire year's academy students. She's the youngest among them," the elder boy explained, nodding towards Naruto. "I'm Uchiha Itachi." Duck Butt seemed momentarily taken aback before composing himself. "Uchiha Sasuke," he introduced himself. She had heard tales of Itachi's early days as a ninja prodigy, not much older than herself. Yet, she harbored a disdain for the term prodigy. Her pursuit wasn't for accolades but to be recognized as a person rather than a nuisance. Moments later, Itachi proposed walking together to meet Koji and Shisui, his close companions. Aware of her tardiness, she decided to bring her training excuse along. Delaying any Uchiha, even the seemingly laid-back Koji, was unwise. While she conversed comfortably with Itachi about academy life and her position as the youngest in her class, her interactions with Sasuke, whom she dubbed Duck Butt, remained minimal. His shifting glances, from curiosity to anger to envy, ceased to register after a while. This unfolding took place over a year. Her 5th birthday passed uneventfully, save for a beer bottle hurled her way while seeking solace at Hokage Mountain. The last thing she desired was a horde of irate civilians tailing her. During the festival, the mountain provided a refuge from village chaos and angry mobs, its summit largely deserted. Her apartment, fortified with sensor seals, became her sanctuary. Basic yet effective, these seals alerted her to potential threats. Meanwhile, her ninja skills flourished. Taijutsu improved, aided by a scroll on pressure points complementing the Uzumaki clan's combat style. While not essential, mastery of these basics enriched her understanding. A medical scroll introduced her to less conventional pressure points, augmenting her style with a nuanced approach. The Uzukan and Kazekan styles, inherited from her parents, diverged in offensive versus defensive tendencies, shaping her development. With expertise and practice, both styles could be mastered, as indicated by her scrolls and personal insight. While she had made significant strides, she anticipated that it would take several years before she could claim mastery in either discipline. In terms of ninjutsu and genjutsu, she had shown relatively more progress, primarily due to the comparative ease of training, thanks to her abundant chakra reserves. Despite dedicating considerable time to chakra control exercises, she still struggled with precision, particularly in genjutsu, which posed the greatest challenge. Her mother's records indicated a similar struggle, attributed to their naturally high chakra levels, common among Uzumaki clan members, making chakra control more demanding. Interestingly, the difficulty increased with attempts to control smaller amounts of chakra, a deviation from the norm among most shinobi. Her mother's weakest jutsu, like hers, was bunshine, a technique she had yet to master despite a year of effort. Determined to address this, she turned to her mother's scrolls, discovering alternative bunshine techniques, notably the Raiten Cage bunshine and Mizu bunshine. While the Mizu bunshine proved challenging due to its control requirements and her lack of affinity for water jutsu, the Raiten Cage bunshine was more manageable. Similar to the Cage bunshine, It demanded substantial chakra and could retain memories, albeit less effectively. Despite having instructions for the Kage Bunshin, she decided to wait until she was older, mindful of her young age and chakra reserves. Her focus shifted to perfecting the Raiten variant, recognizing the need for enhanced chakra control to delve into Genjutsu, an area where she currently lacked proficiency. As she approached 6 years old with the Jinan exam looming in a week, anxiety crept in. While the prospect of failing due to Bunshin performance concerned her, she planned to leverage the Raiten Bunshin or innovate with multiple Bunshin if necessary, reflecting her adaptable approach. She reasoned that if creating only 3 or 4 clones strained her chakra due to its abundance, perhaps increasing the quantity would yield satisfactory results. Testing this theory several times, she found that while some clones appeared acceptable, others were subpar. Out of 10 clones, half appeared lifeless, while the rest seemed marginally healthy. This indicated a need for more practice and better control to meet her deadline. Adding to her challenges, she found herself unexpectedly tasked with babysitting the Hokage's grandson. Typically, the Hokage had a nanny for such duties, but due to the nanny's illness, she was called upon last minute. Konohamaru, nearing his first birthday in December, was like her, an orphan with only his uncle and grandfather as family. His father had perished on a mission the year of his birth, while his mother passed away during childbirth due to complications. She cursed her compassionate nature and the mischievous little boy. Babysitting was an overwhelming responsibility for someone so young. If you're old enough to be a Jinan, Naru-chan, then you're old enough to babysit for a day, the Hokage remarked, his smile cunning. Clever old man, she thought, sighing as she disposed of a soiled diaper and prepared a fresh one for the fidgety toddler. One of these days, kid, I'll get even for all these messy diapers, she grumbled to herself while attending to him. The baby, often hailed as the esteemed grandson by many, glanced up at her, blinked innocently, and seemed to grin before a stream of yellow liquid shot upwards, narrowly missing her. Naruto hadn't anticipated such antics from babies, let alone their accuracy. Someday, she vowed, she would repay the child for this headache, by hook or by crook. In her year at the academy, she had made significant strides. Apart from the adults at her beloved ramen stand and the Hokage, no one disregarded her completely. Hiroshi-sensei, though not particularly generous, didn't treat her with hostility or undermine her efforts. Returning to the main point, she had acquired social skills she previously lacked and had found her first true friend. Her growth as a future shinobi was evident. She delved into the jutsu her parents had developed, with her mother having only completed a couple, and one remained unfinished. The other consisted mostly of notes on her chakra chains, aimed at transforming them into a usable jutsu or perhaps manifesting them naturally. However, she didn't anticipate inheriting her mother's unique chakra chains. Her father had crafted several jutsu, including the Hiraishin, Rasengan, and a couple of elemental techniques, with one still incomplete, similar to the Rasengan in some aspects. Determined to forge her own path, she aspired to create her own jutsu. Despite being a prodigy, she acknowledged that she couldn't match her parents' level of expertise in jutsu creation. Uzumaki Naruto, known for her playful nature, enjoyed indulging in pranks and antics, much like her love for foxes, her favorite animal, kept secret except from her close friends due to the village's complex history with foxes. Close to the Jinan exams, after a series of small-scale pranks, including one involving painting the Hokage monument, although unproven, she successfully developed her first jutsu. She believed it could serve as a distraction in battle, especially against a few opponents, primarily males. She vividly remembered testing the jutsu for the first time, not in combat but to gauge its effectiveness. "I did it!" Naruto exclaimed, leaping down from the tree where she and Koji trained. On that day, Shisui and Itachi joined them, though Sasuke's absence left her unsure of her feelings. "Naruto-chan," Itachi greeted with a fleeting smile. Shisui mirrored the greeting, his expression slightly more relaxed than Itachi's, likely due to Itachi's position as the clan heir, suggesting a childhood marked by high expectations from his parents. This might explain his intense training regimen. "So, what progress have you made, Naruto?" Koji inquired, smiling faintly at the moniker he had given her, albeit teasingly. Naruto, on the other hand, frowned at the youngest Uchiha present. She was not fond of that nickname, considering she was not petite or diminutive, she was simply experiencing a slower growth rate. "I've developed my first jutsu," she announced proudly. Itachi and Shisui displayed immediate interest, their eyebrows shooting up in surprise, while Koji maintained a casual expression. Naruto, noticing their reactions, felt a surge of irritation, her annoyance almost palpable as she rolled her eyes and metaphorically steamed in frustration. "What kind of jutsu is it?" inquired Shisui, his curiosity matching that of Itachi's. Although they had their Sharingan activated, Naruto remained unperturbed, knowing they wouldn't attempt to replicate her techniques without her consent. She was quite protective of her jutsu, especially those derived from her family's techniques, and her revolving taijutsu style, being a unique amalgamation of her clan's styles, wasn't easily imitable. "It's not what you might expect," she replied with a smirk. "It's primarily designed for creating distractions in battles with limited opponents." Koji sighed knowingly, recognizing the mischievous undertone in her voice. He was well aware that Naruto was planning something. "What have you done this time, Naruto?" he inquired, and she smiled wider, exuding a fox-like mischievousness that unsettled all three Uchihas. Itachi and Shisui exchanged a glance, noticing the expression on the young girl's face with concern. They were aware of her penchant for playful antics during her free time, when she wasn't engrossed in training. They also harbored suspicions that she received assistance from Koji, although neither of the youngsters would ever confess to it. Before Itachi could finish his sentence, Naruto employed her technique. With swift hand movements forming a ram seal, she grinned mischievously and uttered, "Oiroku no Jutsu." Naruto released the jutsu and burst into laughter, collapsing onto the ground. The memorable incident, thanks to the Sharingan, would likely stick with them for years to come. However, as she matured, she pondered whether this notoriety was beneficial or not. Koji, yet to awaken his bloodline, was spared the embarrassment of that day, although the memory would likely linger. Overall, she elicited an unexpected reaction from her three Uchiha friends. She discovered that this particular technique was effective primarily on individuals with a penchant for lewd behavior, or those harboring such tendencies. She used it sparingly, aware of its dual nature and effectiveness on certain types of individuals. For instance, she once employed it on the Hokage when she was tasked with babysitting Konohamaru and his friends. That day proved challenging, especially with Konohamaru's antics. Fortunately, the babysitting stint lasted only 2 hours, which felt like an eternity. She recalled overhearing the Hokage's concerns about the consequences of such jutsu and potential health issues in his later years. When questioned by Itachi, Koji, Shisui, and the Hokage about the nature of her jutsu, she explained her rationale. Her reasoning was straightforward: creating a simple yet intricate jutsu allowed her to grasp the fundamentals before delving into more complex techniques. With guidance from Itachi and Shisui, particularly on refining her chakra control, she eventually found a balance and improved her skills significantly. If she focused her concentration sufficiently, she could manifest 7 Bunshine that would meet the required standards. While they might not achieve perfection, their adequacy, combined with her other scores and their quantity, should secure her passage. She had informed Itachi and Shisui that she could execute a Raten Cage Bunshine, although her current capacity stood at about 5. Despite possessing an ample amount of chakra, especially for her age, she was cautious not to risk overexertion and potential harm to herself. Her diligence seemed to please her 2 senior companions. By now, she regarded the slightly reserved Uchiha brothers as her friends. She held them in high regard, akin to her trust in Koji, recognizing the importance of pacing herself and not rushing into advanced jutsu prematurely. When questioned about her preference for creating passable Bunshine despite her ability to form solid Raten Cage Bunshine, she explained that she valued the element of surprise. This reasoning resonated well, given their ninja profession. On the day of the examination, Naruto paid a visit to the Hokage before heading to the academy. "So, Sarutobi began," casting an affectionate glance at Naruto, a smile appearing around his pipe. He had witnessed her maturation over the past year and considered allowing her to start at the academy a wise decision. Her eyes no longer held the same solitude they once did. He found it surprising that he owed this positive change partly to an Uchiha. Pushing aside his reflections, he continued, "Your examination is today." Naruto frowned slightly, clasping her hands together in front of her before nodding. "Yes, I'm a bit anxious. You know how challenging Bunshine is for me." Sarutobi nodded in understanding, aware of the reason behind her struggle. Kushina had faced similar difficulties, overcoming them only through salvaged scrolls from her homeland and family, which taught her the art of creating clones. Hers were not ordinary clones but Kage Bunshine, including her favored forms, the Raiten Kage Bunshine and Mizu Bunshine. He also knew that these scrolls contained detailed instructions on those two jutsu, as well as some insights into the workings of Kage Bunshine, a technique that had originated in Uzushiogakure before being adopted by Konohagakure through their alliance with the Senju clan. A forbidden technique, as it required immense chakra reserves to safely create more than 5 clones at once. Even the shinobi no kami, at the peak of his abilities, could only manage around 100 clones in one attempt. Kushina, on the contrary, could effortlessly produce 200 clones without feeling fatigued. And this was before she became the new Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Reflecting on the Chunin exam, he remembered how Kushina met the clone requirements using Mizu Bunshine, a technique she had mastered even before arriving in Konoha. It had surprised the examiners considerably. But then again, Kushina always asserted that Uzumaki never conformed to expectations, they achieved what seemed impossible. As far as Sarutobi could recollect, whenever she used a regular Bunshine, she created far more clones than necessary, sometimes reaching into the hundreds. However, these clones lacked perfection compared to those created by individuals with lower chakra reserves but better control. It was no wonder Naruto faced similar challenges. Sarutobi also speculated that Naruto might opt for one of her mother's favored clone techniques. Still, he hoped she wouldn't attempt a true Kage Bunshine just yet, considering her young age and the potential strain on her immense chakra reserves, despite its allure. There's more than one way to create a clone. The minimum requirement isn't set in stone, and it doesn't have to be a standard clone, he explained, knowing Naruto was already familiar with this information. Naruto grinned in understanding, affirming his words with a nod. "Understood, just feeling a bit jittery," she admitted with a nod. Moments later, a smile graced her lips as she glanced up at him. "Well, off I go to avoid tardiness, Gigi. Catch you after the exam." Sarutobi waved farewell to the young blonde, akin to a granddaughter to him, and returned to his desk, grimacing at the sight of the daunting stack of paperwork awaiting his attention. With a sigh, he tentatively reached for the first document, acknowledging it as the bane exclusive to a Kage. No matter their prowess, no Kage seemed immune to their ultimate foe, paperwork. Naruto would vehemently deny it later, but when Hiroshi-sensei confirmed her passing, having conjured around 20 standard Bunshine, approximately 13 robust and the rest slightly wan and less agile, well, she nearly burst into tears of joy. Opting for a broad, genuine smile instead, her eyes shimmered like crystals catching the light. Choosing a Hittite with a lighter shade of blue, resembling the cerulean of her eyes rather than the deeper hue of the others, she nodded to her sensei and the examiners before exiting, the new Hittite adorning her forehead, a symbol of her triumph. Partially concealed by her bangs yet unmistakably noticeable, it became the focal point for those curious about her exam outcome. "I made it," she exclaimed, returning to her seat beside Koji, her joy evident. Koji, the typically stoic Uchiha, offered a slight smile, a rarity in public among his clan known for their reserved demeanor, though Koji tended to be more emotionally expressive than his peers. Sporting his own Hittite in standard dark blue, his bangs gracefully covering parts of it, Koji's achievement was equally visible but less concealed than Naruto's. "I never doubted you would," he remarked. "You've been training relentlessly ever since we met, Naruto." She nodded, acknowledging the truth in his words. Her considerable progress was indeed owed to their friendship, particularly in taijutsu. Without his training, she would still be honing her skills against imaginary foes, limited in her growth. especially given the intricacies of the Uzumaki clan's techniques. She didn't have many companions, the other academy students didn't openly disdain her, but they also didn't bother to befriend her. Some were downright unkind because of her younger age. "Alright, well," Hiroshi-sensei commenced as he re-entered the room, a faint smile gracing his aged visage. "For those who graduated, congratulations. To those who did not, there is always another chance. For those who did, return in 2 days for your team assignments. Dismissed." The class dispersed slowly, with many who passed conversing with their successful friends while some comforted those who didn't make it. Koji and Naruto lingered, as was their habit. "Want to hit up Ichiraku's?" Koji suggested suddenly. Naruto glanced at her friend and flashed a brief grin. "Sounds good. It's been a while since I had a meal there," she remarked, and Koji shrugged. Naruto's smirk turned mischievous as she looked at her friend. "Let's make it interesting. I'll race you there. The loser picks up the tab," she declared, darting off, leaving Koji momentarily stunned before he sprinted after his blonde companion. "Naruto, hold on," he shouted. He knew how much food she could put away in one sitting, he really didn't want to end up paying for her entire meal. He'd be broke, and everyone knew Naruto was tight with her money. I hope you found this segment engaging. Please stay tuned for upcoming content. For more updates, consider subscribing to my channel, Anime Octopus. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.